Hello there, my sleepy travelers. You found your way back to Middle-earth tonight, and what a gentle, peaceful night it is. The roads are quiet now, winding softly across the hills, the air cool with the hush of twilight, and above us, the sky stretches wide and endless, painted with deep blues and silvers, the first stars beginning to twinkle softly like ancient lanterns, keeping watch over the world. The Shire lies behind us, its little round doors closed, chimneys puffing out faint wisps of smoke, warm lamplight glowing through ivy-draped windows as the hobbits settle in for the night, their bellies full, their hearts light, their minds already drifting toward dream. And further beyond, hidden deep among the forests and rivers of Middle-earth, lies Lothlórien, the golden wood, the timeless realm, a place of beauty and of old magic, where the leaves never fade and the air hums softly with memory. It is there, beneath the soft glow of silver moons and golden trees, that a quiet meeting takes place, a meeting of wisdom, of ancient knowing, between two of the world's most enduring guides. Tonight, my dear listener, I invite you to journey there with me, slowly, gently, as we follow the quiet path to Lothlórien and listen to the soft, steady wisdom shared between Gandalf the Grey and Galadriel, the Lady of Light. There's no need to rush. The road is long and patient. The night is still, and your only task now is to rest, to listen, to let your heart wander softly into the old, enchanted corners of Middle-earth, where stories live and dreams drift easily, like leaves upon the breeze. Shall we begin? Before we drift too far along the winding paths of Middle-earth, my sleepy travelers, let me share just a whisper of what lies ahead, gently, so you can settle your heart and know where our quiet footsteps will take us tonight. This is not a tale of battle or thunder, nor of kings and swords. It is a story woven with moonlight and leaves, carried softly on the wind, hidden among the golden trees of Lothlórien. Tonight, we follow Gandalf, the Grey Pilgrim, as his road carries him toward that ancient, enchanted realm. There, beneath the shimmering Malern trees, he meets Galadriel, the Lady of the Golden Wood. Her eyes as old as the stars, her voice as gentle as the river's song, and her wisdom deep as the roots of Middle-earth itself. Their meeting is quiet, unhurried, a simple moment beneath the trees, and yet, in their words, in their knowing, lingers the hidden strength that will shape the fate of the world. And you, my friend, get to drift softly beside them, listening, watching, breathing in the ancient calm of Lothlórien. Before we begin, if you enjoy gently wandering through Middle-earth with me, if you find peace in these quiet corners of Tolkien's world, I invite you to softly, quietly, like this video, or follow along for more sleepy tales. It's just a little way to help these gentle stories find others who need rest, who need a calm moment beneath the stars. But no pressure, no haste. The story waits, patiently, as all good stories do. So close your eyes, let the soft hum of Middle-earth guide you, and together we'll walk the quiet path to Lothlórien, where even time itself seems to fall asleep. Shall we go? The road had been long and winding, as most roads in Middle-earth tend to be, but Gandalf did not mind. The Grey Pilgrim, they called him, though few truly understood the quiet purpose beneath his weathered cloak and walking staff. He was tall, though not towering, with broad shoulders wrapped in a soft gray mantle that flowed gently with each step. His beard, long and silver, curled softly down his chest, and his eyes, his eyes, sparkled with the quiet depth of someone who had walked this world longer than most could imagine. They held kindness and curiosity, but also the stillness of the stars, the sort of knowing that comes not from reading books alone, but from listening, from walking, from observing the world as it breathes and changes, slowly, softly, patiently. Gandalf had always preferred the edges of the great stories, the gentle places, the hidden corners where magic lingers in the turning of leaves, in the quiet hum of the earth beneath bare feet. And yet, even now, after so many roads, a quiet pull stirred within him, guiding his steps eastward toward Lothlórien. The Golden Wood, a place of old enchantments, untouched by the passing of seasons, where time itself seemed to curl up and sleep beneath silver boughs. It had been long, far too long, since he had stood beneath those golden leaves, since he had looked upon the Lady of Light. Galadriel, their paths were different, yes, and yet intertwined, like roots beneath the soil, always connected, always aware. But tonight, something in the world whispered for them to meet once more, not with urgency, but with quiet necessity. Gandalf could feel it in the way the stars lingered overhead, in the way the wind carried the faint scent of malloran blossoms, in the way the path beneath his feet seemed to hum with anticipation. The forests of Lothlórien were close now, and so he walked, unhurried, his staff tapping gently upon the mossy earth, the edges of his cloak brushing the tall grass, the moonlight casting soft silver upon his face. Ahead, the first golden leaves drifted down, weightless, timeless, and Gandalf smiled faintly, knowing that the night would unfold as it was meant to, with quiet words, gentle wisdom, and the steady rhythm of the world itself, always turning. The days in Middle-earth pass like soft whispers when one travels quietly, with no urgency, no great haste. And Gandalf, for all his long years, had learned to let the days unfold, steady and untroubled, like leaves floating upon the Anduin. Before the borders of Lothlórien called him eastward, Gandalf had lingered along the familiar edges of the Shire, the soft green hills, the quiet, winding lanes, the round, cheerful windows glowing at twilight with the promise of warm hearths and peaceful sleep. It was in these simple corners of the world, untouched by the rumblings of kings and councils, that Gandalf often found the heart of Middle-earth still beating gently. Each morning, as the mists curled over the hills and the first sunlight kissed the tops of the trees, Gandalf would rise early, stepping outside beneath the whisper of waking birds, the cool air sweet with the scent of grass and distant wood smoke. In those peaceful hours, the Shire seemed to hold its breath, the little streams glittering quietly, the hedgerows drowsy with dew, the flowers in the gardens bowing softly as though still half asleep themselves. Gandalf enjoyed those quiet walks, the well-worn paths beneath his boots, the distant cluck of chickens, the occasional curious hobbit peeking from behind a curtain as the tall gray figure passed by. Many in the Shire regarded Gandalf with a mixture of awe and mild suspicion. After all, wizards, even the kindly ones, had a habit of stirring up unexpected things. But to Gandalf, the Shire was a balm, a place of quiet, of growing things, of steady days. And yet, even in this peaceful corner of Middle-earth, subtle signs began to stir, like faint ripples across still water. It began with the flowers. Small at first, easy to overlook, but Gandalf noticed. Tiny blue blossoms sprouting in patches of grass where none had grown before. Delicate silver petals glimmering faintly beneath the moonlight, even after the sun had set. The old hobbit gardens, with their neatly trimmed hedges and cheerful marigolds, began to reveal little unexpected guests, pale star-shaped flowers, leaves that shimmered faintly when touched by the dawn. Most dismissed it as a fine spring, nothing more, but Gandalf's eyes, trained by centuries of quiet watching, saw more. The flowers only bloomed when the west wind whispered across the hills, carrying with it the faint, forgotten scent of distant shores, of the sea, of lands unseen by most mortal eyes. And there was the humming, subtle, barely noticeable, like the earth itself exhaling, or a distant melody lingering beneath the surface of things. At night, as Gandalf sat by the small fires he built beneath the stars, nursing a cup of tea or a quiet pipe, he would hear it, low and steady, the gentle hum that seemed to rise from the soil itself, a sound older than any song of men or elf. It called not with urgency, but with quiet insistence, a reminder, a soft tug at the edges of his awareness, like the faintest thread of music pulling him eastward, toward the golden wood, and with it came the dreams, not the loud, fevered dreams of fear or warning, but soft, subtle, drifting images that curled through his sleep like mist across the water. Dreams of silver trees, their leaves glowing like moonlight frozen in time, of rivers that whispered softly in forgotten tongues, of eyes, deep and clear as still ponds, watching, waiting. Gandalf awoke from such dreams with a faint smile and a knowing. It was time. The world was stirring again, quietly, beneath the notice of kings and armies. The threads of old magic, the steady pulse of forgotten places, the wisdom that lingered long after swords had rusted and crowns had faded. Lothlórien called, not in words, but in memory, in the gentle shiver of the flowers upon the west wind, in the hum of the earth beneath his boots, in the dreams that wrapped around him like soft cloaks of starlight. And so, Gandalf made his quiet preparations. There was no need for proclamations or farewells. His pack was already light, his staff steady in his hand. The silver thread that tugged upon his heart led east, and he would follow. But as he left the Shire's borders behind, he paused, for a moment, upon a small hill overlooking the fields. The grass swayed gently, the round doors of hobbit holes nestled in the hills below. Lanterns glowed faintly in the twilight, their soft amber light curling upward like fireflies caught in a dream. Gandalf breathed deep, the cool air rich with earth and distant smoke, and the faintest whisper carried on the west wind brushed his ear, a song so old, so quiet, only one who listens closely could hear. His steps turned east, toward the borders of forgotten woods, toward the golden leaves and timeless rivers, toward the Lady of Light and the wisdom that waited there, patient, enduring, as all things ancient do. The threads of mystery were pulling together, gently, steadily, and Gandalf walked softly as the world remembered and waited. The soft path eastward carried Gandalf gently away from the familiar hills and hedgerows, deeper into the folds of Middle-earth, where the quiet breath of forgotten magic still lingered, untroubled by the passing of time. The further he walked, the more the world seemed to settle into stillness, not the empty, heavy stillness of fear, but the ancient quiet of a land that remembers, of rivers that have run unchanged for centuries, of trees whose roots have whispered to the soil for longer than men have built their cities. And it was there, beneath the boughs of ancient forests and along hidden woodland paths, that the first true signs of the old magic began to stir. It began, as most things do, so softly that one might miss it. The bird song, faint and melodic, slowed as though the world itself paused to listen. The wind, which had whispered steadily through the leaves for days, hushed suddenly, as if holding its breath. And the trees, tall, silent sentinels along the path, seemed to lean ever so slightly, their trunks curving toward the road, their silver leaves shivering with anticipation. Gandalf felt it, like a ripple across the surface of still water, an invitation. His boots pressed lightly into the mossy earth as he followed the winding path, the soft hum of unseen magic tickling the edges of his awareness. Ahead, a faint glow shimmered through the trees, a light not of torch or flame, but of something older, softer, woven from moonlight and memory. He stepped forward, unhurried, his staff tapping gently upon the ground. The glow grew brighter, revealing a clearing, small, hidden, untouched by the noise of the world beyond. At its center stood a pool of water, still as glass, reflecting not the forest canopy above, but the night sky itself, bright with unfamiliar constellations, distant galaxies swirling across its surface in slow, dreamlike spirals. The pool pulsed faintly, as though breathing. Gandalf knelt at its edge, his gray cloak curling around him, the silver tip of his staff resting softly upon the moss. The stars within the water shimmered, rippling faintly at his presence. And in that moment, the whispers began. They drifted upon the air like distant song, voices in no language spoken by men, ancient, melodic, layered with quiet longing and gentle warning. He listened. The voices spoke not to frighten, but to remind, to stir the memory of the land, to awaken the old knowing that pulsed through Middle-earth like a quiet heartbeat. Beyond the clearing, faint blue lights danced between the trees, not fireflies, but something older and wiser, the soft glow of spirits that had walked this forest long before wizards or hobbits or even the proud kings of men. They drifted, weaving gently through the branches, their pale light casting faint patterns upon the mossy floor. The pool before him rippled again. This time, the reflection shifted, revealing a different sky. Not the deep velvet of night, but the glowing canopy of Lothlórien, golden leaves drifting like sunlight frozen in time, the pale silver trunks of malern trees rising tall and graceful, and standing among them, as clear as a memory, was Galadriel, the Lady of the Golden Wood. Her gaze, calm and ancient, turned toward him through the reflection, though her expression held no surprise, only quiet welcome, as though she had expected him all along. The vision faded as the pool stilled, returning to its mirror-like calm. Gandalf rose slowly, the weight of years pressing gently upon his shoulders, not as a burden, but as a familiar cloak worn soft by time. The glowing lights among the trees drifted closer, circling him in slow, spiraling patterns. They did not speak, but their presence was a language all its own. The world was remembering, and so must he. The soft hum beneath his boots deepened, the moss alive with quiet energy. Gandalf turned, his steps leading him beyond the clearing, deeper into the forest, where the air grew cooler, tinged with the faint, sweet scent of distant rivers and blooming malern flowers. The path narrowed, curving gently between tall silver-barked trees whose leaves glowed faintly, even beneath the pale moonlight. Here, the land responded to his presence. The leaves shifted, rustling without wind. The roots beneath the earth pulsed gently, the faintest vibration humming through the soil with each step. And the lights, those quite quiet, ancient lights, continued their steady dance, guiding him along forgotten paths. Time softened here, the steady ticking of mortal days, the rise and fall of kingdoms, all blurred, lost beneath the ageless breath of the forest. And Gandalf, for all his years, was no longer the gray pilgrim wandering dusty roads. Here, beneath the silver boughs and whispering leaves, he was something more ancient, a thread woven into the quiet tapestry of Middle-earth itself. The forest opened at last onto a wide hilltop, its summit crowned with an ancient stone archway. Weathered by time, draped in ivy, its surface etched with elvish runes so faint they seemed to hover upon the air rather than cling to the stone. The glow of the ancient lights pooled here, weaving in and out of the carved symbols, their gentle light breathing softly, as if alive. Gandalf approached, his staff humming faintly, the wood warm beneath his hand. The archway pulsed gently, a shimmer rippling across its center like the surface of the pool he had seen before. No great portal opened, no blinding light or thunderous voice broke the stillness. Only quiet understanding. This was not a place of power to be wielded, but of wisdom to be received. And tonight, beneath the glowing trees and drifting lights, the path to Lothlórien had revealed itself, not with grandeur, but with the quiet, steady rhythm of a world that remembers. Gandalf breathed deeply, the scent of malern blossoms filling his lungs, the hum of the earth beneath his boots steady and sure. The old magic had stirred, the golden wood awaited, and with it, the quiet meeting that would shape not battles, but hearts. The soft glow of the archway beckoned, and Gandalf walked onward as the stars wheeled gently above, and the whispers of the forest guided him home. The soft shimmer of the ancient archway faded behind him, its faint glow lingering like a memory in the corner of Gandalf's eyes as he continued down the winding path. The forest of Lothlórien had opened its arms to him now, and with each quiet step, the world around him deepened in wonder. It was not like the forests of the Shire, where birds sang cheerfully in the hedgerows and small streams babbled playfully between grassy banks. This place was older, deeper. The trees stretched tall into the sky, their silver trunks gleaming faintly in the pale moonlight. Their leaves, golden and delicate as sunlight frozen in time, whispered softly even without a breeze, like gentle voices speaking in forgotten tongues. The ground beneath his feet was soft, blanketed with fallen golden leaves that glowed faintly, as though holding the light of 1,000 sunsets within their delicate veins. And in the air, a feeling hung, quiet but steady, as if the land itself had drawn a long, slow breath and was holding it, waiting. It was here, in this quiet place beneath the ancient Malorn trees, that Gandalf first saw the glimpse of the mystery unfolding, gentle as it was. A narrow clearing opened ahead, bathed in the silver glow of starlight. At its center stood a small stone pedestal, so old that moss curled over its edges and faint cracks traced its surface like spider silk. Upon it rested something unexpected, a single pale crystal no larger than an apple, carved with intricate patterns that shimmered faintly in the moonlight. But it was not the crystal itself that drew Gandalf's steady gaze. It was the way the air around it seemed to hum, faintly, like a forgotten song lingering just beyond hearing, and the way the earth beneath the pedestal felt different, alive. The ancient magic here was not loud or boastful. It breathed in quiet pulses, steady, patient, like the heartbeat of the forest itself. Gandalf approached slowly, his boots brushing the soft leaves, the silver hem of his cloak whispering along the forest floor. As he neared the pedestal, the hum grew gently stronger, the patterns upon the crystal shifting subtly, as if rearranging themselves under unseen hands. The air thickened, not with danger, but with quiet significance, the kind of feeling one gets when standing at the threshold of old stories, when the past and present fold gently together, and for a moment, the veil between knowing and not knowing shimmers thin. Gandalf reached out, his hand hovering above the crystal. It was cool, impossibly smooth, yet pulsing faintly with warmth from within, like sunlight captured beneath glass. The carvings upon its surface, now clearer in the moonlight, revealed themselves to be ancient Elvish script, words so old they whispered of times before even the Grey Pilgrim's long years. Fragments of memory stirred within him, words spoken long ago beside crackling fires, tales of the hidden grove, of gifts left by those who sailed west, quiet reminders for those who still walked the mortal lands. And here, it seemed, one such gift remained, The crystal pulsed again, brighter this time, casting a soft silver glow across the clearing. The golden leaves caught the light, shimmering as though the stars themselves had descended into the forest. And within the glow, images stirred, not visions of war or thunderous events, but quiet, fleeting glimpses. A silver ship drifting silently across still waters beneath an endless twilight sky, golden leaves falling gently, settling upon the waves. The faintest outline of a figure cloaked in shimmering white, standing at the prow, eyes turned westward, steady, sure. Galadriel. Her presence drifted across the vision like moonlight over calm seas. No words, only understanding. The crystal pulsed one final time, then dimmed softly, the images fading like mist under morning light. Gandalf withdrew his hand, breathing steadily, his eyes reflecting the faint glow still lingering in the clearing. The mystery had shown itself, not fully, not yet, but enough to stir the quiet knowing within him. Galadriel awaited, and with her, the gentle unraveling of truths hidden beneath Lothlórien's golden boughs. The ancient magic that hummed beneath the forest floor had not stirred by accident. The world remembered, and now so did he. The gentle pull of the earth beneath his boots, the faint song whispering on the cool air, all guiding him forward, along the quiet, steady path. The crystal upon the pedestal settled into stillness, its glow dimming to a faint silver heartbeat beneath the moss. Gandalf let it be. It was not meant to be taken, only understood. A marker, a quiet reminder for those with patience to listen. The leaves above shivered faintly, casting soft patterns of light upon the ground as Gandalf turned from the clearing. Ahead, the forest deepened. The golden light of Lothlórien pulsed steadily in the distance, promising old wisdom and gentle revelations beneath its timeless canopy. And with a faint, knowing smile, Gandalf walked softly onward as the night cradled him, and the first threads of the mystery wove gently into place. The path beyond the crystal clearing curved gently beneath the ancient trees, soft and moss-covered, weaving through golden shafts of moonlight that drifted down like mist. Gandalf walked slowly, unhurried, the faint hum of the land beneath his boots steady as a heartbeat, as steady as the quiet thoughts settling within him. The mysteries of the crystal still pulsed softly in his mind, the shimmer of silver light, the glimpses of distant shores, of Galadriel's watchful presence. Yet no urgency pressed upon him now, only understanding, quiet, steady, like the patient unfolding of dawn after a long night. Ahead, the forest opened to a small rise, a low hill crowned with a circle of smooth, pale stones, their edges softened by moss and time. The trees leaned gently overhead, their golden leaves whispering softly in the still air, and beyond them, the stars wheeled in wide, graceful arcs. Gandalf paused at the hilltop, settling upon one of the ancient stones, his staff resting across his knees, the long folds of his cloak pooling softly around him. He exhaled, a deep, steady breath, and allowed the quiet to wash over him. It was in moments like these, when the world grew still, that the heart had space to untangle its thoughts. The gentle hum of the forest, the cool night air carrying the faint scent of malloran blossoms, the silver glow of starlight upon the leaves, it all whispered the same quiet truth. He had always been meant to return here, perhaps not in grand purpose, nor as part of some grand council or perilous quest, but quietly, gently, to listen, to remember, and beneath that remembering, another truth stirred, one he had long carried, tucked beneath the steady pace of his travels. The longing, a gentle pull, deep within, that had guided his footsteps across countless roads, whispered to him upon distant shores, called him westward through the mists of time. Not of homesickness, for he had walked these mortal lands for so long that they had become home enough, but of something older, a quiet ache for the forgotten places, the songs left unfinished, the memory of a light beyond this world's borders. It was that same longing that had stirred when he first stepped into Lothlórien tonight, when the forest had leaned toward him, when the crystal had shown him the drifting ship upon silver waves. Not a warning, but an invitation, a gentle reminder that his road, though winding and unhurried, was still part of the greater rhythm of Middle-earth, woven into the ancient song that hummed beneath its soil, whispered through its forests, carried upon its winds. Gandalf closed his eyes, the cool night brushing softly against his face, the faint rustle of leaves curling around him like a lullaby. In his mind, fragments of old stories stirred, drifting like mist through his thoughts. The first ships, sailing west beneath the morning stars, their white sails catching the light of lands unseen. The Eldar, tall and graceful, their eyes bright with wonder, their footsteps soft upon the world. The straight road, hidden from mortal sight, curving beyond the horizon toward Valinor, and among those threads, a quiet, steady light. Galadriel, the Lady of Lothlórien, whose gaze held the memory of the undying lands, whose presence was a bridge between the fading world and the echoes of the West. It was no accident that their paths converged now. Gandalf understood that, with the same quiet knowing that had guided him across years and borders. She waited, not with urgency, but with patient purpose, to share words not of command or fate, but of wisdom, of gentle understanding, of the quiet knowledge that endures beyond the rise and fall of kingdoms. A faint smile curved Gandalf's lips as he opened his eyes once more. The stars glowed above, unblinking, their ancient light steady and sure. The hum of the forest pulsed gently beneath him, as though the earth itself approved of his stillness. And within that calm, the final threads of realization settled softly into place. His return to Lothlórien was not merely the turn of a road, but the quiet unfolding of something much older, a story still being told, a memory of what the world once was, and what might yet remain, hidden beneath its golden leaves and silver skies. There was no need to rush toward its conclusion. The mystery was not a puzzle to solve, but a song to listen to, slowly, patiently, like the steady unfolding of twilight into night. Gandalf rose gently, his staff tapping softly against the mossy ground. The whispers of the forest carried him forward now, steady and sure. The road ahead curved deeper into Lothlórien, toward golden glades and quiet rivers, toward the Lady of Light and the ancient wisdom that waited, still as moonlight upon silver leaves. And as he walked, Gandalf carried with him the gentle knowing that this was not merely a meeting, but a returning, a quiet step along a much older road, and the first threads of the mystery, soft as twilight mist, were only just beginning to reveal themselves. The path beneath Gandalf's feet wove softly through the forest now, no longer marked by stones or worn by travelers' boots, but shaped by time itself, by roots that curled across the earth, by moss that blanketed the ground in a quiet green hush. The deeper he walked into Lothlórien, the more the forest changed. It was not simply a place of trees and leaves, but of memory, of quiet guardianship, of the old magic that lingered like the faintest song, humming through every branch and every whisper of the wind. And it was along this path that Gandalf encountered them, the gentle wanderers, the quiet keepers of forgotten things. The first appeared as the trees opened into a small glade, bathed in the silvery glow of moonlight, filtering softly through the high golden canopy. A tall figure stood there, wrapped in a cloak of muted green and gray, his form blending so naturally with the forest that Gandalf almost missed him entirely. A Dunedain, one of the hidden folk of the north, descendants of kings long faded into legend, bound to the wild lands by duty and quiet watchfulness. The man's face was partly shadowed beneath his hood, but his eyes, bright and steady as starlight, met Gandalf's with a knowing that spoke of shared roads, of silent understanding. There were no grand greetings, no rushed exchanges. Instead, the man inclined his head gently, his voice low and soft as a summer breeze. "You walk the hidden paths tonight, Mithrandir," he said, using the elvish name by which the Grey Pilgrim was known. "Few do, fewer still are welcomed." Gandalf smiled faintly, resting both hands upon his staff. "The trees remember, as they always have, and so do the watchers upon the borders." The ranger's lips curved into the faintest smile. "The lady waits," he offered simply, a quiet reverence in his voice. Gandalf nodded, as does the world, though it forgets. The ranger stepped aside, his cloak blending with the shadows, his presence already fading into the quiet rhythm of the forest. But his parting words lingered in the air. "The road bends, but the stars are steady." Gandalf's smile deepened. Such was the way of the Dunedain. Few words, but always chosen with care, weighted with meaning. He pressed on, the soft earth muffling his footsteps, the golden leaves rustling faintly overhead. Further along, the forest deepened, the trees growing taller, their silver trunks smooth and ancient, their roots weaving patterns upon the ground like forgotten runes. And there, beside a quiet brook that traced its way through moss and fern, he met another. She was slight, graceful, her hair a pale silver that caught the moonlight like woven mist. An elf, though younger than some, her eyes bright with quiet curiosity, her slender fingers resting upon the carved frame of a small harp slung across her back. She sat by the brook, her bare feet dipped into the cool water, the gentle ripples casting faint circles of light across the stones. As Gandalf approached, she tilted her head, her gaze steady but kind. "Few walk these paths with such quiet purpose," she remarked, her voice melodic, carrying the soft lilt of the elven tongue beneath her words. "I walk to listen," Gandalf replied simply. A gentle smile touched her lips. "Then you are welcome, Grey Pilgrim." She lifted the harp from her back, her fingers brushing the strings with the faintest touch. A single note drifted upon the air, light as morning mist, carrying with it echoes of old songs sung beneath Lothlórien's boughs. The melody wove between them, unspoken, yet understood. "This wood," the elf murmured, her gaze drifting upward to the golden canopy, "remembers more than most." "As do its people," Gandalf added softly. The elf's smile deepened, her fingers stilling upon the harp. "The lady waits." "So I have heard," Gandalf replied, a glimmer of amusement in his voice. The elf rose, her movements as fluid as drifting smoke. She bowed her head, her silver hair cascading like water over her shoulders. "Then may your steps be light and your heart steady." With that, she slipped away, her figure merging with the tall trees, her presence fading as though carried off by the song of the forest itself. Gandalf stood quietly for a moment longer, listening to the lingering hum of the brook, the soft rustle of leaves, the fading echoes of the harp's gentle notes. And then, onward. The road bent, the path narrowing as the forest drew closer, the air deepening with the faint scent of malern blossoms, of earth rich with ancient roots. The final encounter came not as a figure upon the path, but as eyes in the shadows, watching, silent, understanding. A fox, its fur russet gold beneath the moonlight, its gaze intelligent, knowing beyond the ways of ordinary beasts. It stood upon the edge of the trail, unmoving, its sharp eyes meeting Gandalf's with a quiet challenge, and then with recognition. For even the creatures of the Golden Wood were touched by its magic, bound to its stillness, protectors in their own quiet way. Gandalf inclined his head, a small, wordless exchange of respect. The fox turned, vanishing into the undergrowth as swiftly as it had appeared. The road continued, winding, steady, the encounters lingering behind him like soft echoes of the land's memory. The Dúnedain's steady gaze, the elf's quiet song, the fox's knowing eyes, they were not grand interruptions to his journey, but gentle reminders that even in the quiet places, the world was never empty, that wisdom walked softly in many forms, guiding, guarding, waiting. And ahead, beneath the deepening glow of the malern trees, the Lady of Light waited still. Gandalf pressed forward, his footsteps steady, his heart calm. The mystery unfolded softly around him, like petals upon the breeze, like the slow, patient turning of the world. And the road to Galadriel, to quiet wisdom shared beneath the golden boughs, grew ever nearer. The night deepened softly, as if the world itself were curling into slumber. Gandalf's path, winding through the quiet forest of Lothlórien, led him at last to a wide glade where the trees drew apart, their silver trunks stretching skyward like slender pillars, their golden leaves glowing faintly beneath the vast starlit sky. Here, the world opened, vast and still, as though time itself had paused to breathe. A small fire crackled gently at the center of the glade, its flames low and steady, casting a warm, golden glow across the mossy ground. Seated around it were figures both familiar and unknown, wanderers, keepers of lore, quiet souls drawn together beneath the ancient trees. The tall Dunedain ranger Gandalf had passed earlier, leaned quietly against a fallen log, his eyes reflecting the firelight. The silver-haired elven maiden, with her harp rested upon a smooth stone, plucking the faintest notes from its strings as the flames flickered. Others sat nearby. A weathered old man in simple gray robes, his wrinkled face kind, a young elven boy barely past his first century, wide-eyed with wonder, even a small, curious squirrel perched upon a low branch, its eyes bright and watchful. They did not speak loudly, for the forest listened. Instead, the quiet gathering shared the oldest tradition known to Middle-earth. Stories, folklore whispered beneath the stars. As Gandalf settled upon a mossy stone near the fire, the silver-haired elf let her fingers still upon her harp. The old man cleared his throat, his voice soft and steady. Long ago, he began, when the world was younger and the mountains still held the warmth of their making, there were the ships. The young elf leaned forward, eyes shining. The first ships, he whispered. The old man nodded. They sailed west, upon waters still untroubled by shadow, their sails white as clouds, their keels carved from the living wood of trees that no longer grow in this world. The fire crackled gently as he spoke, the flickering light casting soft shadows across his weathered face. They carried the Eldar, those who had heard the song, those who remembered the light beyond these shores. Gandalf listened quietly, the familiar tale unfolding like a well-worn tapestry. And the world, the old man continued, was not yet broken. The stars shone bright, and the sea sang beneath them. A hush fell over the glade as the listeners leaned in, their breaths slow, their eyes reflecting the firelight. The young elf, voice trembling with wonder, asked, "And they found the undying lands?" "They did," the old man whispered, "but some stayed behind, guardians, wanderers, memory keepers, like the lady of this wood." All eyes turned upward, beyond the trees, to the faint silver glow that drifted down from the distant heights. Galadriel's presence, woven into the forest itself. The old man smiled faintly. "Lothlórien remembers," he said softly, "as do those who walk her golden paths." The Dunedain ranger, his voice low and steady, added, "And we, the forgotten, the watchers, carry the stories still." The silver-haired elf plucked her harp, a gentle note drifting across the clearing like a sigh. Gandalf leaned upon his staff, the warmth of the fire brushing his face, the quiet voices weaving old tales into the night air. "Do the stars remember?" the young elf asked suddenly, his voice full of quiet hope. The old man chuckled softly, his eyes bright. "The stars forget nothing," he replied, They shine, and they wait. A comfortable stillness settled over the gathering, and then all eyes turned to Gandalf, the gray pilgrim, the quiet wanderer, the one whose steps carried both wisdom and mystery. "Tell us, Mithrandir," the silver-haired elf invited softly. "What do you remember?" Gandalf smiled faintly, the firelight catching the silver strands in his beard. "I remember," he said gently, "when the world was quieter still, when the great forests stretched unbroken, when the rivers whispered songs learned from the stars." His gaze drifted upward, tracing the constellations familiar and forgotten. "I remember the fading of the first light, the rising of shadow, the quiet endurance of those who stayed behind." The flames flickered softly as he spoke, their glow steady, their warmth curling through the glade. "The world forgets," Gandalf continued, "but Lothlórien and those who linger here do not." The young elf's eyes widened, and Galadriel? Gandalf's smile deepened, his voice warm as the crackling fire. "She remembers more than most," he said softly. "She remembers the West, the songs, the sorrow, the hope." The silver-haired elf plucked another gentle note from her harp, the sound weaving through the still air. And as the glade quieted once more, the listeners leaned back, their eyes drifting skyward, their breaths slowing, their hearts eased by the ancient comfort of stories shared beneath the stars. The world beyond Lothlórien stirred with its troubles, its shadows, its worries. But here, in this quiet place, the old tales whispered softly, reminding them all that though kingdoms rise and fall, though time passes swift as a river's song, the stories, the memories, the quiet strength of the world endure. And Gandalf, the gray pilgrim, the quiet keeper of those hidden truths, sat among them, his heart steady, his steps guided by the gentle rhythm of the forest. The fire crackled low, the stars wheeled slowly overhead, and beneath their quiet glow, the ancient stories, the folklore of Middle-earth, whispered on, soft and unbroken. The quiet gathering around the fire faded gently into memory, like the last notes of a song drifting away on the cool forest breeze. Gandalf rose from his mossy seat, his staff tapping softly upon the ground, and the other wanderers watched him with quiet understanding. The time for stories was done. The time for quiet truths had come. The golden woods of Lothlórien seemed to lean closer now, the tall malern trees whispering softly as their silver trunks curved gracefully toward the path. The forest floor glowed faintly with fallen golden leaves, and overhead the stars still wheeled in steady, untroubled arcs. There was no hurry, no grand proclamation, only the gentle knowing that the final steps of the journey would bring the quiet mystery into the light. The path led Gandalf deeper beneath the golden canopy, the soft glow of the leaves casting pools of warm light upon the mossy earth. The forest hushed around him, not with fear, but with patient expectation, as though the trees themselves listened for what was to come. And then the trees parted. The woods opened onto a wide glade, unlike any he had seen before. Here, the golden leaves of the Malorn trees gleamed brighter, their boughs arching high and elegant, forming a natural dome of silver and gold. A soft mist curled across the ground, kissed with moonlight, and at the center of the glade, upon a low hill, stood Galadriel, the Lady of Light. She was tall, her silver golden hair cascading down her shoulders like sunlight go in still water. Her gown, pale as moonlight upon snow, shimmered softly with each quiet breath of the wind. Her eyes, deep and steady, held the light of ages, and they held understanding, ancient and gentle, as they met Gandalf's. For a long moment, the forest was still. Time softened, as though the world had paused to let them stand within this quiet breath of eternity. And then Galadriel spoke, her voice low, melodic, carrying the weight of memory and the lightness of hope all at once. "Long you have wandered, Mithrandir," she said softly, "and yet, as always, you arrive when you mean to." A faint smile touched Gandalf's lips. "It seems the forest remembers me," he replied, his voice quiet but steady. Galadriel's gaze softened. "The forest remembers all who listen." She stepped down from the hilltop, her footsteps so light upon the moss that not a single leaf stirred. They stood close now, wizard and lady, old friends bound by memory, by quiet understanding, and the gentle mystery that had drawn Gandalf eastward now began to unfold. Galadriel extended her hand, and within her palm rested a crystal, smooth, pale, carved with the same ancient runes Gandalf had seen upon the pedestal deep within the forest. It pulsed faintly with silver light, steady, calm, as though breathing with the rhythm of the world itself. "The forest showed you the first glimpse," Galadriel said, her voice quiet as the drifting mist. "But it is here, within the golden wood, that the truth lingers." Gandalf took the crystal gently, feeling the faint hum of magic pulse through his fingers. The runes shimmered softly, the patterns upon its surface rearranging, revealing themselves fully now beneath the starlight. "These are the words of the West," Gandalf murmured, tracing the delicate script with his thumb. Galadriel nodded. "A gift," she whispered, "from those who sailed beyond, left for those of us who still walk these mortal shores. A reminder." Gandalf's eyes lifted to hers. A reminder of what? Galadriel's gaze deepened, her expression warm with quiet sorrow and gentle strength. "That though the world fades, though shadow rises, though the days of the Eldar wane," she paused, the forest breathing softly around them, "the light endures." The crystal pulsed again, the faint glow within it growing steadier, brighter, not harsh, but warm, like the first golden rays of dawn upon the hills. Gandalf understood. This was not a weapon, not a tool of power, but a memory made solid, carried forward for those with eyes to see and hearts to remember. "A light for the dark places," he murmured. Galadriel inclined her head, her silver hair shimmering like moonlight on water. "For those who must walk them," she agreed softly. They stood in silence a moment longer, the crystal's glow weaving faint reflections across their faces, the quiet forest holding its breath. And then the mist stirred, the leaves rustled gently, and the light within the crystal settled, calm, enduring like the steady flame of a lantern carried through the long night. Gandalf returned it to Galadriel's hand, their fingers brushing lightly, a simple gesture, but one woven through with the weight of long years and quiet trust. "You carry many burdens, Mithrin dear," Galadriel said, her voice warm with understanding. "As do we all," Gandalf replied softly. The lady's eyes shimmered faintly, as though reflecting distant stars. "And yet," she continued, "you remind the world to listen, to remember, to hope." A faint chuckle escaped Gandalf's lips, low and steady as distant thunder softened by time. "I merely walk," he said. "The world does the rest." Galadriel smiled, her gaze bright. "Then keep walking," she whispered, "for the world listens." The leaves above swayed gently, their golden light dancing across the glade, and the soft mist curled around them like a gentle sigh. The moment lingered, quiet, steady, the mystery resolved not with grand fanfare, but with gentle understanding. The crystal, the old magic, the whispered stories, all reminders that even as the world changes, the quiet threads endure. Hope endures. The soft glow of Lothlórien bathed them both as the night deepened, and when at last Gandalf turned to go, his steps were light, his heart steady, the quiet knowing of the golden wood guiding him onward. Behind him, Galadriel watched, her eyes upon him, upon the world, upon the fading edges of time, and the crystal's light pulsed softly in her hand, as constant as the stars above, as steady as the forest's ancient breath. The mystery, gentle, enduring, had revealed itself, and the road, as always, continued. The path through the golden wood curled behind him, soft as a drifting memory, as Gandalf walked once more beneath the tall Malorn trees. Their golden leaves rustled faintly overhead, catching the starlight like tiny lanterns strung upon the night. The air was cool, gentle, carrying the faintest scent of blossoms and earth, old as the world itself. Each step felt lighter now, not hurried, not burdened, but calm, steady, guided by quiet understanding. The mystery had not shouted its name, it had whispered, woven its way into the still places, revealed itself in the gentle glow of a crystal, the quiet strength of shared words, the knowing presence of an old friend beneath the golden boughs. And now, as the forest softly parted and the edges of Lothlórien drew near, Gandalf understood. It was never about grand revelations, never about finding all the answers at once. It was about listening, remembering, letting the world, in all its quiet patience, remind him that though time flows onward, though the shadows may rise, there is always light to carry forward. The golden glow of Lothlórien faded gently behind him, blending with the cool hush of the wider world. Ahead, the sky stretched vast and clear, the stars steady as ever, their ancient song humming softly through the night. Gandalf paused for a moment, resting both hands upon his staff, eyes lifting to the endless sky, and with a faint smile, he whispered, more to himself than to the world, "The light endures." The forest around him breathed quietly, the earth steady beneath his boots, the night warm with possibility. The road stretched on, as it always had, curving beyond the hills, across time, through quiet places where stories still lingered, waiting to be found. And as he walked once more into the gentle night, the stars above wheeled slowly onward, keeping their quiet, ancient watch. So, my sleepy travelers, let your eyes drift gently closed now. Let your thoughts settle like leaves upon still water, for the world is vast and full of old songs, gentle mysteries, and quiet light that never truly fades. Rest now, sleep well, and dream of golden forests, of silver stars, of roads that wend gently through the quiet, waiting world. The story continues, but for tonight, all is well. Good night, dear traveler, and may your dreams carry you softly beneath the golden leaves and into the gentle peace of sleep.